So one of the things you get with this car is an actual full-size spare tire, which you don't get with many modern cars. But there's not much up in the front trunk except for the spare tire and the washer bottle and the radiator. You get a full set of gauges with this car. Way over on the left is a clock, way over on the right that you can't see is an amp meter. Big tachometer, speedometer, oil temperature, water temperature, oil pressure, fuel gauge. Then you have your climate control over here, although this car does not have air conditioning. And a little Motorola radio. It does have the typical for the era mouse fur dash, which really does look like mouse fur. It's got a 5-speed gearbox and the classic gated shifter, and got a choke down here. Pedals are set up nicely for heel towing, and nice leather interior, and very comfortable to ride in, and very comfortable seats. So this is the 2.4 liter version of the double overhead cam V6. When they upped the displacement, they did use a few of these in the Fiat Dino. So most of the Fiat Dinos have the 2-liter engine, but some have the 2.4 liter. Also, a little known fact is this is the same engine that they use in the beloved Lancia Stratos. Okay, let's crank this thing up and see what it sounds like. You may or may not be able to appreciate that it is set up in the classic Italian, what they call the gorilla driving position, where you need long arms and short legs to drive it, but it really is not that bad. It actually drives very nicely. Considering the overall size of the vehicle, the rear trunk is huge. You can pack a lot of luggage in here and take your mistress off to wherever she wants to go. I mean, it really is a phenomenally large space for a fairly diminutive exterior car. Of course, the fact that it was supposed to be an affordable sports car is a relative term. In 1973, the Dino went for $14,500. You could get a 911 Targa for $9,500 or a V12 E-Type for $8,500. And it still was not that fast in comparison to those cars. In an article by Matthew Carter and Peter Nunn, they stated, quote, "If you want a fast car, buy a Porsche. If you want an affair, buy a Ferrari," which I thought was pretty clever. There are some issues with the cars. They are prone to rust around the wheel arches, the fenders, and the doors. They were made with cheap Russian steel with no coating of zinc like they use nowadays. You can have problems with worn camshaft lobes and timing chains. Because this was the, quote, low-cost Ferrari, the recommended 6,000-mile valve clearance adjustment was often ignored because of engine access issues that takes a day to do and costs quite a bit of money. Second gear synchros are prone to wearing. Occasionally you can get a leaky head gasket. The famous Italian mouse hair dash covering can wear out. And it was the first Ferrari to use an electronic ignition, which was developed by Magneti Marelli, called the Dinoplex. But it can be problematic. But despite all that, it is a heck of a car. It's a beautiful machine. It drives very nicely. It's so compact and it handles beautifully. And it'll definitely go down as a true classic and is sure to continue appreciating in value.